Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Double Chaos Show, where you don't just get Jets chaos, you get
Double chaos.
And here we go. We got a great show today, so buckle down, get ready for takeoff.
All right, I'm super excited. I've been wanting to talk about this for 2 weeks, and we waited right until just before the New England game to talk about the mid-season playoff picture.
Mid-season playoff picture, yes.
I thought what we would do is to talk about what we think the biggest games of the second half are with regards to the playoffs. What are the most important games second half of the season? And if you're okay, I'm going to tell you my number one.
What is your number one?
And it is not just because it's the next game, but this game against New England, to me, for so many reasons, is the most important game that we're playing the second half of the season.
You say name the four of the top, most important games the rest of the way. There's no way that New England's not going to be in the top four. And I don't even see how anybody could say it's not the top game because we've already beaten our other divisional rivals once this year. We can't have New England sweep us. That will absolutely put us in grave danger at the end of the year in the playoff picture.
We'll lose a tiebreaker. And if we beat them, on the good side, if we beat them, we're talking about knocking them 2 games back behind us. I mean, that's phenomenal, right? Especially since we'll have a split against them. And then it keeps the momentum up that we just, achieve with the Bills, right? Instead of giving it right back, keep that momentum, baby.
Right. And also gets one of the final monkeys off the back of the organization, right? Just to end the streak and just beat the Patriots and get that box checked as well.
A good old-fashioned revenge.
Good old-fashioned beating.
And I do think that if we lose the game, we will find ourselves fighting against the Chargers, who we don't play, to see who makes the final playoff spot. I really do. I think we have to win this game. Yeah. Not that there aren't other ways to make the playoffs. Obviously, there's a lot of games to be played, but it just will kill our momentum and we'll feel like crap.
Yes. Yes, and that would be interesting with our history with the Chargers, you specifically, but in our going to the playoff game in San Diego, the history of all the Chargers games we went to when you lived in San Diego.
Yeah.
I feel like I'll be singing "Hello Darkness, my old friend."
What's ironic is that we might be the ones that knock the Chargers, not knock them ourselves, but with our record, the Chargers are always on the cusp. Either way, so this could be like which side of the cusp they're on or we're on. Yes. They could end up taking us out record-wise. And then another reason is this game's so important is it keeps us on pace with the Fish.
Absolutely. We take over the division in a tiebreaker. Like we are the official technical leader of the division if we win. So.
And did I say revenge? Revenge against Belichick and what they did last year up in New England,
Yeah. I want to crush them.
The reason I think it puts us in bad playoff position is it gives New England the tiebreaker against us totally and completely. They'll own us. So, yeah. All right. Second most important game is not the next game. It's the last game.
Yeah. Now there's a possibility that game is going to mean nothing.
No, there's no possibility.
Well, if we're going to be the same seed regardless, if we're going to be a wild card on the road regardless, we might rest some people that, not rest just to not play them, but, kind of injured but not injured. They would normally be able to play if it meant something, but they don't play. And both teams might do a little bit of that. So I'm just saying that there is a possibility the game's not going to mean anything. But since we can't say, I'm definitely agreeing the Miami game is in our top 4 without question.
Right. But so here's why I think it's the second most important game. Number one is I think if we have a good season, a good remainder, which I'm really hoping for, obviously, then it is the decider of whether we are the division champs or whether we're a wild card team. I think that is a reasonably likely scenario if we play well the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
If we beat New England, I think it gets even more likely that this game is going to be the game.
Now, so far, these, there are some people that might go into the chat and say, hey, hello, Miss, single and double Captain Obvious. But But I think that moving along to number 3, I have to stay along the pattern of what we've been doing and say Buffalo. Let's face it, divisional games are always the most important.
First of all, it gives us the tiebreaker. It's basically worth 2 against them in the division. It could end up being something that decides who gets the division, and it could end up deciding who gets into the playoffs and who doesn't. There's a lot of things on the line with that game.
Yeah, just so much.
But can I say my favorite reason?
What's your favorite reason?
Sweeping the Super Bowl favorite Bills. Oh yeah. They're like 3 or 4 to 1 when the season started, and we were like 200-300 to 1.
There's some people that were invading the chats for the Jets shows, and very arrogant. You guys are out of your mind if you could think you could beat us. It was a fluke. You have no chance. They're so arrogant, especially considering the fact that we're technically ahead of them right now in the division. It's very arrogant, and it would feel very good to beat them. Just shut them up.
Yeah. No, yeah. It's going to be hard. Let's face it. But oh my God, to sweep them. The other thing I think interesting against Miami is just facing Tua. It'd be nice to beat him.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see if our defense can slow him down, because he's having an incredible season. So it'll be if that game is a meaningful game still at the end of the year, and we're playing for the playoffs, and we're going against Tua, and we could shut him down.
Yeah.
My God, by that point, there'll be no argument about our defense. That's for sure.
That's right. It'll be, I think, a very exciting game. It's funny how you keep saying if, and I'm telling you, it's going to be a big game. At the very least, we'll be playing for a playoff spot, or they will. To one of us, it's going to be a really important game.
Right. Sure.
I think both.
Probably both.
I think both. And then the fourth, I don't know, we might have a different, of course, it's the 3 division games. They count twice here, but what would you have as the fourth? I know what mine is.
Well, I guess I would have to say Jacksonville.
You say Jacksonville. I want to hear why.
Because they're an AFC conference game, and that is part of the tie-breaking equation. Sometimes, they'll go to head-to-head. And sometimes it's decided by conference record. So they're the only AFC team left. So out of those NFC games, that's the most damaging. If we lose a game to one of those other 5 games, the most damaging loss would be to Jacksonville, because it hurts our conference record.
Maybe you're right and I'm wrong, but I chose something different for a very different reason.
I think I know.
I chose the Vikings.
Okay.
I took the Vikings, and I took the Vikings because if we beat them, if we lose to them, we say, okay, we lost to one of the 2 best teams in the NFC. But if we beat them, our confidence and our belief in ourselves will be sky high. And I think getting that confidence, it would be an amazing win before the Bills to help us take on that game. And it also takes a lot of pressure off the Bills game. Not having the pressure could be very effective for the whole team going up against the Bills a second time.
Yeah, what would be interesting is we could also go in there saying to the Bills, you couldn't beat the Vikings at home.
That's what I mean.
Beat them in their house.
Exactly. So I think it's just a big confidence builder to take on a team like that and knock them out, Yeah.
And then there's games that have meaning for other fans. There's people who will say that the Chicago game is important because we have to beat Justin Fields, because in their minds, and this drives me crazy, but it's true, it's Zach Wilson versus Justin Fields, and if Chicago wins, it means we made the wrong draft pick. I mean, that's just what it's going to be. It's similar to Jacksonville, except Jacksonville, we didn't have a choice. Trevor was gone. It's different because we had an opportunity to take Fields. But there are people that are going to feel that way, and then there are people who want to beat Seattle just so they could say Jamal Adams, blah 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 blah.
We are playing against 3 of the other quarterbacks that were taken last season in the first round. We're playing against Mac Jones. We're playing against Justin Fields. We're playing against Trevor Lawrence. And I think going head to head, even though the quarterbacks never play against each other, people are going to compare like crazy after those games.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, personally, I want Zach to beat those 3 other quarterbacks. Even though he's not playing directly against them, I want to see him have better games.
Now, wait a second here for a second. So the 3 quarterbacks we're talking about, just so we're on the same page, is obviously Justin Fields.
Yes.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
Is the third one Geno Smith?
No, it's Mac Jones. Another interesting fact is that our second to last game, it's against Seattle, and it's against Geno Smith.
Smith.
I know. And I think what's really interesting is, I said revenge, revenge. This seems like it might be a Geno Smith revenge game for him against us. It makes me nervous about that game.
And don't forget this. Do you know who came the closest to signing Kirk Cousins if it wasn't the Vikings? Kirk Cousins was supposed to be a New York Jets. So there's all kinds of crazy things. That's Mac Jones. That's Fields. That's Kirk Cousins. That is back to Josh Allen. And what's interesting about that is not only is it one of the most important games for us, but it'll be interesting to see if we can do it to him again. Because remember, he's pissed.
Yeah.
And then, obviously there's nothing that interesting about Detroit that I could pull out of.
No, there's nothing interesting about Detroit.
Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence, Seattle, Geno Smith.
Yeah.
And then Tua, like all interesting.
Oh, it's so interesting. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We didn't get too into me hating the Chargers, but yeah, I mean, they used to be my favorite team. Whatever team plays against them, I always say is my second favorite team that week, after the Jets. And I do think there's going to be a battle potentially. If the Jets don't do as well as I think they will, then there's a good chance it'll be us against them, not directly, but for the last wild card spot.
Yeah, very strong possibility. I would hate to see the Chargers make the playoffs instead of the Jets and take our spot.
Yeah, but I'd love to take it instead of them. That doesn't mean I want the 7th seed. I want one of the top 3 seeds, or one of the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th seed. I don't think we're getting 1st seed.
Well, there's some out there that are still very hopeful we're going to win the division.
No, division, yes, but 1st seed I think is going to end up going to KC. No.
Yeah, most likely.
That's why I'm thinking the rest of us are playing for 2nd seed.
But just so you know, in case you wanted to roll the dice, in case you were feeling dangerous,
yes,
if Kansas City was to lose on Sunday,
yes,
and the Jets were to win, we would technically be the number 1 seed at the moment.
I will tell you, I commit to you. Let's see what happens on Sunday. And if that happens, let's talk about KC versus the Jets on the next show we do together.
Okay,
that's a promise. If that scenario happens.
If that scenario happens.
So I did some analysis. I overdid it. I did different scenarios. I rolled some dice and assigned some probabilities. And I think the odds are very strong, 80% or more, that the Jets win between, it's not going to sound like such a great prediction here, but between 10 and 13 games.
A lot of people are predicting the Jets, the rest of the NFL and all the experts. Most of them are predicting that the Jets are only going to win 3 more games and they're going to finish the season 9-8, which really is just to me symbolizes a refusal to see the Jets for who they are now. They're just stuck in the past.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason why an expert who knows football would look at the Jets schedule and say, I only expect them to win 3 games after what they've done and how much better they seem to be getting through the weeks.
Well, obviously I agree, because I just said 80% or better, 10 or more games, 10 to 13.
Yeah.
And I think the most likely, I don't know if you can agree with this, but I think the most likely is that we win 11 games and that we make the playoffs, but we don't get the division. That's I think most likely.
It's amazing that you're saying that, because a lot of people would be very happy with 4-4, right? Because that would mean 10-7, and that was more than anybody had bargained for. But obviously the expectations change. And I guess the thinking is, why would we be content or sit here and talk about 4-4 and not at least say we're a good enough team to say, why are we hoping for 500? Like, if we believe our defense is elite.
Whoa.
I know you. So I think a lot of fans are jumping on board now and saying, screw that. Let's go 5-3. Let's finish 11-6.
Yeah.
And make the playoffs.
And the reason I'm saying
are saying, screw that. Let's go. Let's just win it out. And let's just win almost every, let's in these final 8 games, let's go 7-1, 6-2, and play for the division.
So obviously that's what I want. By
Yes.
trying to do analysis here, analysis. And I think most likely, which I might surprise you, is 11, not 10. So I don't think it's 4-4. I think it's 5-3. The toughest part of it is that we're on the road against our 3 division rivals. That's why it's hard to do much better than 11 here.
Yeah.
And that's why 10, I think 11's more likely, but 10 is also somewhat likely. And in 10, we're fighting to make the playoffs, right? And it's because we're going on the road for those 3 games. Makes it really
it is something to say that 5 out of the 8 games are on the road.
Yeah.
They're not easy places to play. Minnesota, Seattle, not easy.
Yeah.
Buffalo, of course, and then the Miami game we know is going to be really hard. So we got a lot of tough games.
And it's another reason why the New England game is so important, because it puts us more in the 11 category than the 10. It makes it much more likely. And at 11, we're going to make the playoffs. At 10, we have to be watching what the Chargers do.
We're also playing Chicago the worst time to play them. This is like the high of their season, right when the Justin Fields seemed to find his groove, and they've got all this confidence that they got this stud quarterback, and that's like we're running into them at the worst possible moment. It would have been great if we could have played them a little earlier and have them, So,
well, we got to play other teams earlier that maybe were to our advantage, maybe.
Yeah.
Like Cleveland, maybe.
We did. No, we did. We definitely playing Cleveland before, we don't know, but the Deshaun Watson thing, obviously everybody that plays them before he plays is happy about it. But but then at the same time, we keep getting thrown curveballs because we don't know. It might turn out that Deshaun Watson stinks.
We'll see. We'll see. Hey, so I don't want to leave it at 10 and 11 because I think there's a real chance it's lower than 10, right? It's 11, 10, and then 12, I think, is a real possibility. I think what it really keys on is beating New England and then winning a couple of tough games and then Miami game. To me, I could easily see us going to the Miami game, not easily, but I can see us going to the Miami game with 11 wins. I think that's reasonable. And then that game is for the division. And they're also trying to get to the 12 wins.
Look, if we win 12 games, I say that you and me make a trip, like a reunion trip for you. We go back to Carnegie Mellon. We go back to Pittsburgh. We fly to Pittsburgh to celebrate. We go into Pittsburgh and we find Frankie from Flatbush. You hold him down and I give him noogies. And we just scream Jets, 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 Jets. And we get it on tape, and then I'll have a viral video that everybody will want to see.
But my dream, Jeremy, it's a super small chance. 13 wins. It's kind of crazy. And I think this is how it happens. We get to have one loss as we head into Miami. It's hard. It's going to be really hard. It's very unlikely, I'm saying. And then we're playing Miami for the division if they run the table too. How awesome would that be? Either with 11 wins or with 12 wins, playing them for the title, baby. And we have the tiebreaker.
What would be interesting if we were playing them for the division, what would be interesting about that is that the arrogant Bills fans that thought they already had a Super Bowl, and more importantly than them, the New England fans would have to watch, and they don't have any good outcome. Like they don't want to see Miami and they don't want to see the Jets. They lose no matter what.
It'll be them that are hoping that they get it instead of the Chargers under that scenario. But if we go to Miami trailing by a game and we win, we have both head-to-heads. We win.
Yes.
That's what's super exciting, that they don't have that opportunity. We can go in a game down and take Miami down.
Yeah.
That could be a crazy game.
It would be the most exciting game that we've played easily and the most meaningful since 2015 when we played the Bills the last season for a playoff spot. If it's for the division, it's even bigger. So really, it's a bigger game than that. And you'd have to go back to the AFC Championship game with Rex Ryan the second time that we played in the AFC Championship game to find the last time, we were in a game bigger.
Hey, so I've given scenarios 10, 11, 12, 13. Uh, and I put the big money down on 11, although I'm hoping for more. What do you think? How do you think it's going to come out?
I think it's going to come out. We're going to go 5-3. I think 5-3 is really the most, to me, realistic option. I think, and if anything, we can go better. I do. It wouldn't shock me. I really believe that this defense has found a groove and is very elite, but they're also young, and they've got a lot of tough road games. A lot of tough road games. But I think that's the most likely scenario. I think the most likely scenario to me is 5-3, and the second to most likely scenario is 4-4, and the third to most likely scenario is 6-2.
This is my exact order that you just said.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Last thing, real quick. Of the 8 games we have left, we already said most important, New England. Easiest victory of the games we have left. Lions, Bears, Jaguars. Where are you?
I think Detroit.
Yeah, I would say Detroit. And then?
Man, the matchup really scares me with the Bears. I'm going to have to say Jacksonville.
Yeah, yeah. And then the Bears?
And then the Bears, because the Bears, Fields really scares me. Like he does, because the way we match up against them.
What we really need is to take those 3 games. Taking those 3 games puts us in great position.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because that gets us to 9 right there.
And then Seattle?
Yeah, Seattle would come next because they're going to be tough, but not as tough as the Vikings of the divisional games. But so Seattle would definitely come next. It's not a personnel thing. It's a coaching thing. They just win.
Yeah. And then is the next easiest Vikings or New England?
I'm going to say New England.
Yeah.
I'm going to say New England.
I feel New England because I just think the Jets, Saleh says one play at a time, one game at a time. Just too many scenarios to think about. This is Saleh talking. But come on, he knows the math. Every player knows the math. They just lost to these guys. Revenge. I think the Jets are going to come in very, very hard.
Yeah, they're the better team, and I think you're going to see. Remember what the Bills did to New England in the playoffs when they wanted some revenge last year, and I'm imagining that that's what's going to happen with us. I don't know if we have the explosiveness on offense yet to blow out teams and put up 40 points, without turnovers like we did against Miami, but that was a weird situation with turnovers. But that's why I predict, yes, we're going to crush them, but it's going to be more like a 23-6.
I was predicting 27-13. 27-13.
Same ballpark.
Yeah, same spread-ish. And then you have the Vikings, or do you have one of the divisional games? I think the Vikings are next up.
I think the Vikings. I think that Miami and Buffalo are the 2 toughest games we have left on the schedule.
Yeah, that's what I think. And between them, I don't know who's tougher, really, to be honest. I think those games are the premier games.
Yeah, I'm going to say that it will end up. I'm predicting that it's going to end up Buffalo as the tougher game, because I think Buffalo is in a little bit of a funk. But I think there's been plenty of Super Bowl teams, plenty of great teams that end up winning 13-14 games, that if you look, they had a part of their season where they hit a little funk. It happens to Kansas City every year. Kansas City, has those little funks, and then it turns out fine for them. I've seen it many, many times. And I just think that this might end up just being a funk. Like Bills might get back to their winning way and just start rolling.
Yeah, the reason I'm going to disagree, if I have to pick one and say the Dolphins, is because it's the last game of the year. And I think that something is going to be on the line for both teams. And I think they're going to play with they always play with everything they have, but it's going to be right in front of them what's at stake.
Right.
Saleh won't be able to say one game at a time. It's going to have to say it has to be this game.
Yes, we have to win.
Yeah. So you think people are going to have comments and disagree with everything I said?
Oh, they'll disagree with a lot of things we said. There's, some will say spot on, chaos. Good job, double chaos. So one of them might say the answer is Lee Cravat. But one thing we know is that there'll be people who disagree, and there'll be people who say that we're crazy.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I want to hear it. I want to hear it. I want to see people put things in the comments. I want to see them, whether they agree or not with us, they should still like the video.
Yes, and they should, if they haven't, they should subscribe to the channel.
Over here.
Yeah, so over there?
Over here. Over here. I don't know.
There. I think it's over there.
And they should watch more videos.
They should definitely watch more videos.
Like that one. Or that one. Or that one or that one.
Or that one. I think it's over there.
Hey, Jeremy.
There.
Jeremy.
No, it's there. It's all the way over there.
Jeremy.
Yes.
Go Jets.
Go Jets.